It is now day 31 of the conflict, and the United States is conducting a series of lethal airstrikes across Iranian urban centers. Tehran has issued an immediate warning. If these attacks do not stop, they will begin strikes at 8 p.m. tonight against American IT firms located throughout the West Asian region. At this stage, the trajectory of the war is uncertain. It may settle into a long-term engagement similar to Russia and Ukraine, or a sudden escalation could move the world to a third global conflict. The rapid nature of this 31-day escalation suggests that the standard logic of regional combat no longer applies. There is a larger, unseen motive driving the current violence. That motive began to surface following the resignation of UN diplomat Mohammad Safa, who claimed that the United States is actively making preparations for a nuclear strike on Iran. Following this leak, American forces visibly increased the frequency of their attacks, specifically targeting the Iranian city of Isfahan. The revelation has caused a ripple of preparations globally. In India, officials are holding emergency sessions, while their army chief has been observed at temples and gurdwaras, signaling the expectation of a significant event. Despite the talk of nuclear escalation, the U.S. is also moving 50,000 ground troops into the region. This creates a strategic contradiction. Why commit a limited conventional force to a high-risk environment while simultaneously preparing for a nuclear engagement? The difficulty of a ground war becomes clear when looking at the numbers. Those 50,000 American troops are entering a territory defended by an Iranian army of 1 million soldiers. This visual represents the scale of the mismatch. A force of 50,000 cannot realistically control territory or achieve a conventional victory against a force 20 times its size. If this were a traditional invasion, the U.S. forces would be overwhelmed by sheer volume. Because a conventional victory is unlikely given these numbers, the deployment of 50,000 troops appears to be a secondary tactic, masking a different set of objectives. Financing this conflict is another hurdle. The Pentagon has already spent $36 billion on operations in West Asia over the last month. This spending has come at a high cost in hardware, with billions of dollars in weapons and radar systems already consumed or destroyed. These losses occur against a backdrop of previous military withdrawals that remain fresh in the public mind. Following the exits from Afghanistan and Iraq, the U.S. military is facing a period where its ability to project power is being openly questioned. Another retreat would have significant diplomatic consequences. The U.S. is caught between a lack of funds for a long-term proxy war and a lack of prestige to withdraw, putting pressure on leadership to find an alternative way to conclude the conflict. The reason the U.S. cannot simply negotiate or walk away is tied to a specific economic arrangement, the petrodollar system. This system relies on a simple trade. Gulf nations agreed to sell their oil reserves exclusively in U.S. dollars. The profits from these sales are then invested back into American markets. This cycle creates a constant global demand for the currency, which helps maintain the dollar's high value on the world stage. This specific demand for the dollar is what allows the United States to manage a national debt that has now reached $40 trillion. If the United States appears unable to maintain its military presence in the region, the global confidence that supports the petrodollar begins to fade. Without military enforcement, Gulf nations may move away from the dollar. If the petrodollar cycle breaks, the U.S. economy is left to face the full weight of that $40 trillion debt alone. The conflict in West Asia is a struggle over the economic mechanisms that keep the American financial system functioning. The reported plans for a nuclear strike are a response to a financial crisis, where a superpower is attempting to protect its currency by any means available.